Welcome, Mayank, to ET Telecom's 5G Industries Innovation Summit. So, first of all, I would like to ask you what's your view on 5G adoption at enterprise level and how can we do it better?
Thank you, Mansi, for having me here. And if you talk about 5G adoption, it's happening in different phases. So, if I look at 2 years back, it was very, very slow. But now, in last 2 years, it has picked up pace. So, for example, US and Canada, they are ahead of the market. And countries like Korea or Brazil, they are picking up pace due to the liberalization of their spectrum. And from deployment perspective, if I look at MPN is one of the initial or first point of deployment, I would say. And 5G in mobile private network is taking up very fast pace. It's getting deployed. And on top of it, if I look at from the industry perspective, there are lots of factories which are tied with cables, for their automation, for their connectivity, which hampers their agility. And that's where 5G can play a very big role to rip off that cable and bring simplicity and agility in the floor. And if you look at from solution perspective, we have to look at how this 5G connectivity is going to take place. So it's not just about connectivity; it's about the operational technology transformation. So an industry is looking at how the solution would be implemented, how it can help them save money or increase revenue, and that's where we need the transformation. So in summary, if I look at it's operational technology rather than connectivity that we are looking at this point.
So, how do you see 5G use casing picking up? As far as we know, 50% of the data traffic is expected to come from the enterprise segment. So, what about the consumer segment?
Okay, so very very valid point, and rightly as well. So more than 50% of data is coming from enterprise, and there are lots of focus on enterprise sector. So every country has their own prioritization of the use cases. For example, if I look at Netherlands, there are lots of ports, and in fact, port of Rotterdam has already implemented their container terminal automation using 5G. Similarly, if I look at Middle East and Africa, there are lots of focus on oil and gas. And if I look at Australia and Brazil, mining is one of the use case. So that's why there are lots of focus on enterprise side, but that does not mean consumers are left behind. So there are use cases around consumers. So for example, if I look at people are subscribing to digital life using digital universe, which is going to consume lots and lots of data, and that's where 5G is going to be the key factor. Similarly, if you look at connected vehicles or vehicle to anything connectivity, which would need the data to be transferred at the edge or at the consumer side. So that would need a faster processing, low latency, and split second decision. So those kind of use cases on consumer side would be very much applicable, and that's where everybody is focusing on as well right now. So consumer is also going to be very big traffic as well as monetization sector.
Right, right. So if we talk about AI, Gen AI is kind of buzzword everywhere. Every industry is talking about. But what's the kind of impact do you see of Gen AI on the telecom sector and the innovations that it will bring forth?
Yeah. So Gen AI, of course, it's a buzzword, and lots of things people are saying which may or may not be Gen AI at this point. But yeah, there are use cases which are applicable for telecom. And if I combine Gen AI with 5G, it's going to transform the world like anything. It will generate application which we may not have visualized at this point. So, for example, if I look at from network perspective, network management is one of the very important use case where Gen AI can play a very big role. It can predict the data flow. How what kind of pattern would it be there, and it can smoothen the customer experience from data perspective. Similarly, if I look at the use case on security is another big angle which Gen AI can help on identifying the threats or predict the threats before it can actually happen. And similarly, if you look at cryptos and blockchain, that is going to consume lots of data, and lots of AI factor would come in. So that's where also AI would play a very 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 important role.
Again, we have 5G across India. We have deployments, but monetization is still a challenge. There are some positive signs with FWA. So, what according to you the business models should telcos and enterprise focus upon to get ROI on this?
Okay, so see, one of the key challenge that we had on monetization side is the understanding of the business case or use case that an industry needs. So it's not a typical traditional model of just design, deploy, and get paid kind of model that we have to go after. You have to sit with the industry. You have to sit with the different players. So it's an ecosystem play. You have to understand the business case. You have to understand the problem statement, and then create the solutions around that, and then deploy it, and link it with the savings or the revenue that industry is generating. So it should not be, like I said, a traditional business model. It should be linked to outcome based. So it has to be outcome based business model, where industry does not need to invest in capex, but can do a self investing implementation of use cases.
Great, great. Thank you so much for such insights. It was lovely having you here today. Thank you
Same
for
here.
joining
It was
us.
pleasure having you in this being here in this event, and thank you for hosting us.
Thank you.